Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, of course, the king of all, those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Hell, wait till you try those half-pound Wagyu burgers. Best I've ever had. Probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in, everybody watching on our TV affiliates, everybody listening in on our radio affiliates, everybody streaming, and those on Chicago Food Favorites. Check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, a fun group. Talk about your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right. Oh, and by the way, our friends over at Vacation Buddies are giving away a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to a simple trivia question. And if you do, guess what's going to happen? Something good, because you're going to get a couple of nights right here in Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri. That's right. Just for answering a simple trivia question. All right, pay attention. Here's the question. Which of these three is the tallest structure in Las Vegas? Is it A, the Stratosphere Tower at the Strat? Is it B, the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino? Or is it C, the Fontainebleau Hotel and Casino? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. And guess what? If you answer, guess what's going to happen? Something good. You're going to be able to pick up a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri. That's right. You make the call. You take the pick, whatever it is. If you know the answer, contact 888-576-5777 right now with the correct answer, because Vacation Buddies wants to give you a couple of nights, of course, here in Vegas, Orlando, or Branson. Now remember, they are not affiliated with this station, but they certainly want to give you a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, or Branson. I'm going to say it 100 times, I guess. I don't know. But what I will tell you is that, look, it's a lot of fun, and it's a simple trivia question. And let's face it, who doesn't like to travel, especially this time of year on top of it? Listen, folks, this is good stuff. And it's not often that these kinds of opportunities just happen to get dropped in your lap or whatever the heck it is. Because, frankly, traveling is expensive these days, as you're certainly aware of. So, again, contact Vacation Buddies for the answer, if you have the answer, I should say, to this simple trivia question. All right. And by the way, this one goes out, again, to everybody that's watching on Chicago Food Favorites as well. I just streamed the live broadcast on there. In fact, if you go to Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, you'll see the mic flag that I have for NBC Sports Radio. And that is the still image that's actually on here. I'm not turning the camera on myself right now, but just in case you're keeping score and you want to have a little bit of fun with this. Listen, folks, this is fun. Let's have some fun and let's move on. Nice round of applause. Yes! For Chicago food favorites. And, of course, everybody else that's watching and so forth. All right. Now, a lot has happened here in the NFL, not here, of course, but in the National Football League just over the last couple of days, from Thursday all the way through Sunday, and here we are for the Monday program. And just when you thought it getting a little bit stranger, I mean, look, a lot of people are very, very, very happy that the Kansas City Chiefs are not going to be in the playoff picture this year. Now, me personally, I don't know. I think the playoffs are fun with Patrick Mahomes in them. And, I mean, look, he's a pretty likable guy, as much as I don't like his cadence and his calls. That's what it kind of sounds like. But he is one hell of a quarterback. And, look, whenever he's out there, it seems like anything is possible. And that's one thing kind of cool about it. But the fact remains the Chiefs have been eliminated. Now, there is a list of teams. I'm going to get into that in a minute. But the Mahomes injury is basically one for the season at this point. I mean, if you look at, there are some key injuries, as a matter of fact, for the Sunday games. And people are saying, well, you know, some of it looks a little suspicious and whatnot. Of course, according to the four-letter network, and that would be ESPN for all those that don't know my discontent with them, the four-letter network says Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes suffered a season-ending torn ACL in his left knee in the closing minutes of Sunday's 16-13 loss to the Superchargers, a result that ended Kansas City's playoff hopes, and Mahomes underwent an MRI after the game that confirmed the injury. He and the Chiefs are now exploring surgical options, according to the team. And in fact, Mahomes wrote on social media, quote, "Don't know why this had to happen, and not going to lie, it hurts. But all we can do now is trust in God and attack every single day over and over again. Thank you, Chiefs Kingdom, for always supporting me and for everyone who has reached out and sent prayers. I will be back stronger than ever." Close quote. That's the right attitude. And let's face it, he was hurt with less than a couple of minutes left in the game. I mean, look, it was a pivotal time, and I saw it. And what it looked like was he jammed his left knee. You know, sometimes when you come down on your knee and you come down flat-footed and your leg is locked, that's what it looked like. So it looked like it actually jammed. It didn't look like it was a torn ACL, because there's a very particular movement that's consistent with a lot of ACL tears, and it did not look like that at all. It just looked like it was his knee was jammed. So I don't know. And people say, well, you know, it was fixed and all this other crap. I mean, who the hell knows, really? But what we do know is that he did leave the game. Now, the Chiefs were already in danger of not making the playoffs anyway. But what I find a little peculiar is if you watch or look at the replay of the injury, you say, how the hell could that be an ACL? Who knows? Anyway, in an effort to rally the Chiefs, scrambling out of the pocket, rolling to his right, and he was chased down by Deshaun Hand. And of course, once Mahomes planted his left foot, there it was, and threw the ball away for an incompletion, his left knee buckled. It didn't look like his knee buckled. Watch the replay, folks. No, it just looked like it was jammed. So he fell to the turf. Mahomes immediately grabbed his left knee. And, of course, Winston Payne, after the game, the atmosphere inside the Chiefs locker room was sorrowful. Many of the veterans knew their leader had suffered the worst injury of his 9-year career. And good old pass rusher Chris Jones said, quote, "I just hugged him, man. That's my brother. We've been through so much. We love Pat," close quote. And Mahomes is expected to have surgery in the coming days, and he'll miss the team's off-season program. And his availability for the next start, possibly the next season, is in question. So he's 30. It seems like things tend to go a little bit sideways when athletes turn 30. I don't know what it is. It's just like the wheels come off. And it's not because they're 30. It just seems like, I don't know, generally speaking, they're just more susceptible to injury. I don't know. So, yeah, he is 30, managed to stay free of long-term injuries throughout his career. Well, guess what? Now he's 30 and something bad has happened. Anyway, back in 2019, you may recall, while I guess in the middle of a quarterback sneak, he dislocated his right kneecap, but missed only a couple of games. and the longest absence, of course, of his career. But that later led that season. And let's face it, the Chiefs are their first Super Bowl win in 50 years. And so that was the start, apparently, of something good. And so it started off with an injury. Who the hell knows? Maybe he'll come back next year with an injury. The same kind of thing. Hey, he's come back, and now he's won another Super Bowl. Who the hell knows? Anyway, end of day, look, he's played through turf toe and other things and whatnot. And look, it's just one superlative after another. Obviously, even if he doesn't play another snap, he's a lock for a first ballot Hall of Famer. And he even said in January 23 of playing through the injuries, he said, look, a lot of great have done it. And I think it's just about being a competitor. You want to be out there, especially in these games. That was a quote, not a close quote. Nonetheless, even before Mahomes' injury, the Chiefs were going to need to address several areas of their roster in the coming offseason. A lackluster pass rusher, a running game that has lacked production, and a tight end group that might need to replace Travis Kelce if he retires. I don't think he's going to retire, but nonetheless, if that priority list, may include another quarterback. You never know. So the team doesn't really have another under contract, and Gardner Minshew is not the guy. We all know that. We saw what he did in Vegas with the Raiders, and that was rather uneventful. Anyway, back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come, folks. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC Sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
Excellent.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment is brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com. Check them out, folks. All right, a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast, including our friends over in Honolulu's CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the 49ers, Yankees, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome in everybody else up and down the West Coast, driving between sunny Southern California and here in fabulous Las Vegas, listening in on Highway Country Radio 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM. That's home of the Vegas Golden Knights, the Raiders, and the Sports Circus at 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. Also, up and down the Midwest, our friends over on Chicago Food Favorites. Thanks for joining us there, everybody listening in on Facebook. Chicago Food Favorites, a fun group. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right, it's the only show that I know of that's actually promoted on, or better yet, it's the only group, a Facebook group that I know that's actually promoted on radio and television and whatnot. All right. Also, welcome in everybody down in Alabama, from Montgomery, Alabama, all the way over to Columbus, Georgia, listening in on 1230 on the AM dial. That is home of the Atlanta Braves, WAUD, at 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. Of course, our friends over in Atlanta, thanks for waking up with us, listening in on 99.1 FM WDJY, and plus all of our other affiliates from coast to coast. Everybody listening in on those independents and network affiliates, plus everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild Charter, and independent cable affiliates from coast to coast. Everybody watching on Hotel TV, of course, we're applicable, and Hotel TV, we're applicable as well, in about 500,000 rooms in your upscale hotel and resort rooms. And oh, by the way, folks, if you're just tuning in right now, at the top of the show, there was a giveaway by Vacation Buddies, giving away a couple of nights right here in fabulous Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri. So I'll tell you what, if you can answer this simple trivia question, you could pick up a couple of nights in any of those locations. Compliments of Vacation Buddies, and here's the trivia question in case you're just tuning in. Which of these three is the tallest structure right here in fabulous Las Vegas? Is it A, the Stratosphere Tower at the Strat? Is it B, the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino? Or is it C, the Fontainebleau Hotel and Casino? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights in Vegas or Orlando or Branson, Missouri. If you'd answer that trip, it's a very simple trivia question. If so, 888-576-5777. Call now. All right, the extended applause for them. All right, so now back to the National Football League. We were talking about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the first segment. Look, there's a lot of stuff that's going on over there, and maybe it's time for a revamping or a rebuild or something to the effect. I don't know. I mean, I watch football like everybody else. I have friends that are in the league. Some are playing, some are coaching, and a lot of them are just the greats from the league. And you say, well, what is your opinion? It doesn't matter what your opinion is. It's kind of the same thing with the whole Micah Parsons situation. Now, of course, for everybody that is from Chicagoland, or you happen to be a Bears fan, just like myself, yes! Well, guess what? Bad news for Green Bay. They got a couple of big losses, and the biggest one, of course, is Micah Parsons. That's right, their star pass rusher. They went out of their way to get this guy. He, too, just like Patrick Mahomes was reported, has a torn ACL, ironically, in his left knee, just like Patrick Mahomes. And that is a source had confirmed it by the Four Letter Network and somebody that we know within the organization. Now, of course, it doesn't really matter who was the first to report the news. Ultimately, listen, if you're going to break the news, you break the news. It doesn't matter. I mean, I broke the news for the Aaron Boone signing as the Yankees manager back on December 1st of 2016, way back 9 years ago on this show. But it doesn't mean I have any more inside information, although his brother, Brett Boone, was actually on my show, and that's how we did it. The point is, whether Pro Football Talk talked about it first, or the Four Letter Network, or CBS, NBC, Fox, ABC, whatever, any of those Disney channels, it doesn't really matter. The fact is this happened. So Micah Parsons sustained a non-contact injury to his left knee in the third quarter of that loss to the Denver Broncos. And of course, even the coach said, quote, "It didn't look good. I'll leave it at that," close quote. Now also in the same quarters, Green Bay wide receiver Christian Watson, the team's most explosive offensive player, suffered a chest injury and left the game. Now that's something you don't hear very often. Now Watson was taken to the hospital for further evaluation and traveled back to Green Bay with the team though. So two enormous losses, one on either side of the ball. And so where does Green Bay go from there for all you Packer fans out there? I don't know. I mean, look, it's all about health at this point. A non-contact injury, this concerns me with Micah Parsons. And there have been a lot of non-contact injury rumors out there. And you go back to the blasted COVID shot and stuff like that. People have been trying to tie these injuries, these non-contact injuries, to some deteriorating aspect within, I guess, the graphene oxide or something to that effect. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a pharmacist. I don't know anything about that stuff. A lot of people talk about that. And it's interesting because the non-contact injuries have gone up. But here's another factor for non-contact injuries. When you look at the teams where they play, you say, all right, does this team play on grass or do they play on turf? Most of them play on turf these days. But here's the thing. The turf itself doesn't have any give. And so there's a ton of knee injuries. Knee injuries have spiked upward since the teams largely have gone to turf or that composite where it looks like grass, but it's not grass. It's really turf. But there's no give in it. And this is the problem. So knees are being strained, torn, et cetera, from these. And if you don't believe me, just go ahead and look up on your favorite search engine, maybe one that rhymes with the word noodle. I'm not going to give them the name because, well, frankly, they're not paying me, if you know what I mean.
Show me the money!
And then I'll say your name. But other than that, that's not going to happen. But my point is, you could look this up and you'll find that knee injuries are up substantially. So there is a real problem. Now, Green Bay plays on grass at Lambeau Field, and if I'm not mistaken, the field is grass in Denver. So if that is the case, Micah Parsons had a non-contact injury, and I don't know what it was. I mean, nobody likes to see him. Me especially, I don't want to see him go down because I got a whole stack of his rookie football cards. So I don't want to see him get injured. I'm a Bears fan, but that's not cool. I mean, you don't want to do that. You just, look, it's a game, and let the guys play. This is their job. And remember, Micah was with the Cowboys earlier, and if you didn't like the Cowboys and you like Green Bay, now you like Micah. If you're a Bears guy or woman or whatnot, and then you're like, oh no, here come Micah to our division. Well, and this is how you have to look at this stuff. And so you say, all right, but these are humans. They have families. This is their job. It is what it is. So you never want to see anybody get injured. But I'm a little concerned because these non-contact injuries are kind of a big deal. And so as you look at it, the coach would, that's LaFleur, he had said, quote, "Give Denver a ton of credit. That's a really good football team. I thought it was a dogfight for most of the game, and then they kind of ran away with it in the second half. It was also a double whammy for us just losing some pieces that are critical for our success, but that's the name of the game. I told the guys nobody's going to feel sorry for us. We've got to rally around one another. Everyone's got to elevate their game and their play," close quote. Now, Parsons suffered that injury while trying to go after Bo Nix and immediately grabbed his left knee. He walked to the locker room with an enormous limp. He was ruled out for the fourth quarter. Now, Parsons did not record a sack in this game, but he made his presence felt early when he forced a fumble against Broncos running back R.J. Harvey on the game's opening drive. And that was recovered by Green Bay. So, I mean, look, he has an impact just by being on the field in the first place. Now, Parsons' first season with the Packers, of course, has been a resounding success, as everybody knows, after they traded 2 first-rounders, which Green Bay doesn't really make trades or do the big free agency signings. That's not what they do. They usually stick with the draft picks because they usually draft pretty darn good. And you can certainly see that at the quarterback position for, I don't know, the last 30 years, whatever. But anyway, they traded first-round picks plus defensive tackle Kenny Clark to the Cowboys to acquire him shortly before the seasons. And the Packers gave him a 4-year, $188 million contract. Now, folks, that's a lot of lettuce right there. That's a bunch of money. Anyway, if you look at this, you say, well, was it a good deal? Yeah, it was a good deal. It was a good deal because he shored up something that Green Bay was missing. Anyway, now they don't really know what's going to happen with this guy. And frankly, nobody knows what's going to happen. And honestly, they have a next man up mentality, and they'll find a way to figure it out. They have to play at Chicago next week. And needless to say, if Green Bay wins, then they have the tiebreaker over the Bears. The Bears win, they remain in first place in the NFC North. Back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Lots more to come, folks. Don't go anywhere.
She got up. Wait up! And you got your head all the way up it.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven: gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number:
800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. That's 800-876-7041.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMTV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorded shows which could be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, Stitcher, YouTube, Deezer, all those, plus a whole bunch more. Also, make sure you check out the partners page. Lots of great partners at thesportscircus.com. Our favorite, and hopefully it's one of yours too, is Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. If you can't make it over there for some great food, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. And you can read all about the creation of the Italian beef sandwich. They did it 117 years ago. They first opened their first restaurant in 1938. That is the 1079 West Taylor Street down in Chicago's Little Italy. That's the first one. And also, folks, you could read about the creation of the sandwich, and you could compare and contrast it to that awful Philly cheesesteak garbage sandwich. And I believe that. It's just my opinion. I can say that because I want to. Nonetheless, there's a big difference in the way that these are cooked, and it literally takes 20-odd hours to make that Italian beef itself versus throwing a pork cut of beef on a flat top, frying it up with some peppers and some onions and cheese whiz and slapping it on a bun and sending you on your way just without some kind of indigestion protection. Nonetheless, the Italian beef sandwich doesn't do that to you. It's a very different animal, and man, is it good. And this announcement is for everybody that doesn't know what the Italian beef sandwich is. If you do, you get it. Especially if you're on Chicago Food Favorites, you get it. It's like, good beef, good pizza, and this kind of thing. Good Italian ice and so forth. Good cannolis, good Italian bakeries, etc. and so forth. So this one is specifically for everybody not in Chicago's land that doesn't know what the Italian beef sandwich is. Anyway, check them out again at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. And tell them the circus sent you. Yes! All right. Welcome back to everybody on TV and radio. Pick your favorite affiliate, CBS, NBC, Fox, Independence, and of course everybody on all those all those streaming networks. This is not a podcast, folks. This is a regular television and radio show. We do not do a podcast here. No, we are over FCC airwaves. We're regulated by the FCC. We have regular hard commercial breaks, and then we also do what? A station identification at the top of the hour. So you're listening to W blah 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 in Chicago or something to that effect. So, for example, our friends over in Auburn, Alabama, War Eagle. So our friends over there are listening in on WAUD 1230 on the AM dial, Auburn, Alabama. And, of course, the signal stretches from Montgomery all the way over to Columbus, Georgia. But that's what the station ID break is. This way, they announce what station they're on, what airwaves, etc., and that is required by the FCC. So for those people that do a podcast, good for you. Podcasts are out there, and it's essentially something that people have to go hunting for. But we are the companions of the drivers and whatnot, back and forth between your favorite cities, to and from work and whatnot. We've been doing this for quite some time. So again, if you want to learn a little bit more, email info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. All right, back here with the NFL. This is what today is a football show. I mean, there are some key injuries to some key teams, and even the Rams. Devontae Adams went down with a hammy, and right now the Rams are just ahead of the Chicago Bears for the number one seed in the NFC. But the Bears have 3 games left. Everybody basically has 3 games left. And looking at the schedule, you look at the Bears games, they say, all right, you're playing Green Bay in Chicago next week. Never an easy task. Then you're traveling to San Francisco. And in case you're wondering, folks, San Francisco is an awfully, awfully good team. These guys can play. And for the Bears, well, let's face it, it's a road game. And that's not good. When you look at the schedule right now, you say, well, geez, the 49ers are 10-4, just like the Bears. They're 10-4. So there's a tiebreaker on the line once the Bears go to San Francisco after the Green Bay game. So let's forward think a little bit. The Bears eke by Green Bay in Chicago. They tie up the season series at 1. So now there is no tiebreaker situation there as far as head-to-head goes. And then the Bears have to travel to Santa Clara to play the 49ers And then the last week, they're home against the Detroit Lions. And when you look at the standings right now, well, Detroit sits 2 games behind the Bears, but anything can happen. Now Detroit has a couple of games that are in question. One of them, of course, is at Chicago, the last game of the season. And they're hoping that the Bears will lose a game either against Green Bay or against San Francisco. And then if Detroit beats the Bears, it's the Lions that have the tiebreaker over the Bears because they beat them the first game they played them. So that's where the water gets a little bit murky in this division. So it is certainly that. But now, with the injuries piling up on these different teams, remember the Rams are first overall, but remember, they have the tiebreaker over Seattle. And that's why they're in first place right now. So when you look at these teams, you say, well, geez, which team is better? I think the Rams are just a little bit better, but without Davante Adams, I don't think they're better. Now, if you look at the schedule, it looks like Davante Adams is going to be out for the Thursday game at Seattle. Now, that's going to change a lot of things because Seattle then, well, guess what's going to happen? They're going to even up the season series. And so that's how you have to look at this, kind of like with Green Bay and Chicago. Well, if Seattle wins that game on Thursday, now we go to regular tiebreakers within the division and then within the conference. So as it stands right now, it looks like LA and Seattle are both 11-3. But remember, San Francisco is only 1 game back of them, right? And so now you have to take a look at San Francisco. You say, well, what's going on with the 49ers? What have we seen with the 49ers? What do they have left? Well, we do know that the Niners have to play the Bears. They play at the Colts, and, well, let's face it, Phillip Rivers played pretty good as a 44-year-old grandpa. So they play at Indianapolis next week. Then they play at home against the Bears. And then, or better yet, it's this the Seattle game. They're going to change the Seattle time is what it is. All right, so my mistake on that Thursday game. So I'm looking at the schedule right now. Oh, no, that was right. That was right. I had it right. Now, this is the 49ers and the Seahawks. Excuse me. That's the last game of the season. So, again, it could be San Francisco jumping ahead of Seattle. And how do they do that? Well, guess what? They've already beat them. It was, in fact, the first game of the season. They beat them 17-13. And so they're going to finish the season against Seattle. So if they won that game, they would have the tiebreaker over Seattle. So if Seattle outlasts the LA Rams, now remember, the 49ers already beat the Rams. It was in week 5. And then guess what? Oops, they lost about 5 weeks later. So they're tied at 1. So this is going to come down to if the 49ers can beat the Bears, and if the 49ers can beat the Seahawks, the 49ers could win the division. And now here's where it gets even crazier. When you look at this seeding situation, the Rams would fall below San Francisco, and technically they would fall below Seattle because Seattle actually has a better record within the conference. So the Rams would fall all the way down to the 3rd position in the NFC West. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the Bears would be right in the middle if they lost to San Francisco. The Niners would have the tiebreaker on them because right now they're both 10-4. So this is a very murky and muddy situation, just like with the NFC South in Tampa and Carolina. Just by in terms of tiebreaker, Tampa Bay, they're both 7-7. Well, guess what? They both have the same record, but Tampa has the tiebreaker. And that's how this stuff works. And it's maddening to imagine how Philadelphia hasn't run away with their division. Philadelphia should be 6 or 7 games ahead of everybody, but they let everybody back in lieu of a 3-game losing streak. And they came back and obviously destroyed the Vegas Raiders, which was no tall task whatsoever. But Dallas, in lieu of their loss, Dallas had really essentially just cut their own throat. And if you look at the other side of the bracket on the AFC side, it's the Denver Broncos showing the way right now and showing they can beat just about anybody. And as it stands right now, the wild card games would be Houston at New England if it ended this way, Buffalo at Jacksonville. That's right, the Jags. I've been touting the Jags all year, and the Jags exactly are the team that they went out and drafted and hoped when they got Trevor Lawrence and ETN. This is the team that they envisioned. Now, also, it would be the Superchargers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's another one. It's a real head-scratcher there. Over on the NFC side, real quick, and it would be the bye for the Rams as it stands, but it would be Green Bay at Chicago in the first round. Imagine that one, for yet another affair between them. And then it would be San Francisco at Philadelphia, a very winnable game for Philadelphia. Then Seattle would play at Tampa, a very winnable game for Tampa. Anyway, that's what the picture would look like, and we're going to come back with even more football. Why? Because we can. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Sports Circus.
What's up, Dad? That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But
that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out the store at thesportscircus.com. Lots of great gift ideas there. Hats, hoodies, t-shirts, coats, pants, blankets, pillows, travel mugs, coffee mugs, mouse pads, you name it, they're there, all with the Clever Sports Circus logo on them. And of course, these are American-made products too. Get your items just in time for the holidays at thesportscircus.com's store. Of course, a shameless plug for the Sports Circus. All right, welcome back to everybody. Everybody on TV and radio, thanks for joining us. Everybody streaming, also on Chicago Food Favorites, thanks for joining us over there as well. A fun group, talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Okay, now real quick, back in the standings in the American Conference, of course, the AFC. Over in the East, it is now New England a half a game over Buffalo, by virtue of an 11-3 versus 10-4. Really, it's one game, not a half a game. I think some people have this wrong, not to be naming anybody in particular. Nonetheless, it's the Buffalo Bills with a 3-game win streak. And how about the Miami Dolphins? They're not dead yet, folks. They have not been eliminated, unlike the New York Jets, but you can call them the New Jersey Airplanes that play out of East Rutherford. Nonetheless, the Jets have been eliminated. Over in the AFC North, it's the Steelers, sitting a half a game right now above the Baltimore Ravens. And I don't know how long that's going to last, but it sure seems to me that we're going to find out in the next handful of hours. By the time you listen to this, we may know who is in first in the AFC North. But we also know that the Cincinnati Bungles have been eliminated. That's right, I said it, the Bungles. That's right. And of course, people in Cincinnati don't think it's really a laughing matter, but I kind of do. Ownership needs to change. The general manager needs to change. The head coach needs to change. The coaching staff needs to change. Will Joe Burrow be happy? Who the hell knows? Oh, it's just a joke or whatever. No, it's not. Truth comes out in jokes. I think Joe wants to get traded. He wants to play for a team where he could actually win. And guess what? Cincinnati is not the team. And also, by the way, the Cleveland Browns also have been eliminated. And you know, folks, in case you don't know, the Browns and the Bengals essentially were owned by the same party at one point. And that's why the Browns and the Bengals actually have the same colors pretty much. As a matter of fact, if you look at the old Bengals helmet, it was the same orange and it just said Bengals across it until they changed it in the 1980s to that really cool looking Bengal tiger kind of a stripe. But anyway, there's two teams, same colors, in the toilet. They both stink. Over in the AFC South, it's Jacksonville and Houston battling it out for first. Jacksonville is 1 game ahead. They're both on win streaks, 5-game and 6-game win streaks. These teams are playing really good, and they're going to be awfully tough outs in postseason play. The Colts are still alive. Yes, the Colts are still alive for sure. That's why they were so desperate they went and brought in Phillip Rivers at 44 years of age. Got to tell you, he didn't play very bad either. He just was doing his usual trash talking and crap. That's what he does. But he played good enough for the Colts to win the game. And that was at a tough venue at Seattle. But they really played well. Now, of course, in the toilet is the Tennessee Titans. The Titans, well, better yet, are the Tennessee Titans. They are 2-12, and they smell at this point. And yet they spent all that draft capital making sure that Cam Ward was their guy. And, of course, Cam Ward being the guy, yeah. Meanwhile, everybody's booing. And, of course, there goes the revenue stream. It just blew up right in front of them. You say, stop it! Well, they can't stop it. And so over in the AFC West, there's some real good football played there by the Denver Broncos and the LA Superchargers. Why do I call them that? Because back in the day, they were called the Superchargers, not just the Chargers. They started in LA, and then shortly thereafter, they moved to San Diego, where they were the San Diego Chargers. And there was even a song, San Diego Superchargers. And you can look that up on Pick Your Favorite Streamer. Anyway, the Chargers sit a couple of games behind the Broncos, two really good teams. And the Broncos have won 11 in a row. That's right, 11 in a row. That's nuts. Over the NFC, again, it is the Eagles that sit 2.5 games above the Dallas Cowboys, and don't see how the Dallas Cowboys are even alive still, but mathematically they are, because of that tie at 6-7-1. Washington and the New York Football Giants have been eliminated. And over in the NFC North, of course, is the Bears 10-4-0, Green Bay 9-4-1, that tie with Dallas. And then it is Detroit sitting 2 games behind the Bears. We talked about it. It's a precarious 2-game lead for the Bears. And the Vikings have been eliminated, who is actually a pretty good team. They were missing their quarterback for a while. In the South, Tampa and Carolina, both 7-7. Atlanta and New Orleans have both been eliminated. And the Rams actually clinched a playoff spot at 11-3. And they're tied with Seattle at 11-3. However, the Rams right now have the tiebreaker. And the Niners at 1 game back at 10-4. The Cardinals have been eliminated as well. What does all this stuff mean? Look, we already kind of know who's going to be in and who's not going to be in. The bigger question is, who's going to be the tough out and who's going to be the easy path? I think whoever goes in from the AFC North, they'll be a very, very quick out. And the same thing with the AFC or the NFC South. I don't think Tampa or Carolina are going to pose much of a challenge, frankly, for any team in the NFC that would be playoff bound. The cream is rising to the top, the creme de la creme. Nonetheless, when you look at the teams that are there, they're there because they played good all year round. They didn't make excuses like Joe Burrow says, well, the fun comments weren't aimed at Cincinnati. Yes, they were. Come on, man. Who are they aimed at then? Well, I'm not having any fun anymore kind of thing, or I'm not having fun. Well, guess what? Your employer happens to be the Cincinnati Bengals. So do us a favor, seriously, and just be quiet. Shut up.
Stop it!
Seriously. Moving on. So all of this said, we already know everything we need to know about the NFL except one thing. And here's the one thing that, look, I don't like this during the game celebration crap. I have a real problem with this stuff. I just don't like it because I think you're not supposed to show the other team up. It's like the bat flips in baseball. And to me, that's the worst possible thing I could ever see. And I just can't stand the idea of bat flips, just like these celebrations. Let's pick something off or whatever. So the Bears picked off Sanders 3 times in the game against the Cleveland Browns. And yes, they did celebrate, and I don't like that. You're supposed to celebrate your win after the team. So how about this? How about J.J. McCarthy and his touchdown dance? It irks the Vikings coach, Kevin O'Connell. Well, there's more to it than this, but I'm going to go ahead and share this from a guy by the name of Kevin Seifert, who actually wrote this. I have some thoughts on it and some I don't. So he says, in the midst of his best game in the NFL, J.J. McCarthy started feeling it. So when the Vikings quarterback broke free on a goal line bootleg run in the second quarter with nothing but end zone in front of him, he slowed down. Holding the ball as he crossed the goal line, McCarthy appeared to be performing a modified, quote, gritty, close quote, dance made popular by teammate Justin Jefferson. Now, the touchdown was one of several key plays in the game over Dallas, but it was perhaps the most revealing moment of the push and pull involved in developing a young quarterback. While praising McCarthy's performance after he threw for a career-high 250, Vikings coach Kevin McConnell made it clear he did not like the celebration. In fact, he had said, quote, I did it in practice, and I was told not to do it, McCarthy had said. So, just me being who I am, it was actually the quarterback was saying this, right? So, just me being who I am, it's like, oh, now I'm more enticed to do it. But if it's that open, obviously, just get in the end zone, no matter what, and be coachable and do what my coach says. So, yeah, I'll definitely get a minus grade for that, close quote. Well, look, here's the problem I have with this. First of all, I don't like celebrations, but how could you be Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings coach, and say, I don't like the quarterback doing it, but I don't mind Justin Jefferson doing it? Well, what kind of crap is that? Seriously, folks. That to me is, look, I'm not trying to be that divisive guy, but it's discriminatory. You can't do that and say, well, this guy can do it, but this guy can't do it. Why can't J.J. McCarthy do it, or at least have it ignored by Kevin O'Connell, but yet Justin Jefferson has it ignored and whatever? Why is that? And I don't care whether it's a young quarterback or whatever. So these guys, they want to express themselves like they do at bat flips, which is the worst possible thing that I've ever seen on a baseball field. And for the hitters that are doing that, they are just begging to get drilled in the next at bat or the next hitter. They're just begging for them to get drilled. And in football, why is it okay for one guy to do it and it's not okay for somebody else to do it? And then, oh, that's right, I said it, then there's the race card. All right, so there's this issue on top of everything. And I'm not saying it's this, that, or the other. I'm just calling it as I see it. So you, the listener, I don't care if you're black, brown, white, yellow, red, purple, orange, green. I don't give a damn what color your skin is. And I don't care how long you've been playing in this particular game versus how little you've been playing in it. Why is it fair for one person and not fair for the other? Why would the coach single him out? Because, hey, look, McCarthy is the quarterback and he's the leader. Well, last I checked, Justin Jefferson is also a leader on this team. So why is it okay for one leader and yet it's not okay for another? How does that work? And we see this kind of crap around the league on a regular basis. But why did the coach decide to single out the young quarterback? What's the significance of that? What good can come out of that by criticizing your quarterback? Look, I'm not the only one in the world saying this. Somebody in the Vikings world, in their fandom or whatever the hell it is, whatever they call it, their kingdom or their like they have Bill's Mafia, whatever the Vikings have. Somebody over there, in fact, there's a Vikings bar very close to my location, and I'm kind of enticed to go over there maybe tomorrow and ask the people, because they're all Minnesota, everything, and they have all the Viking stuff in there. Hell, I got a Vikings helmet here in my studio. Maybe I should wear a Vikings helmet when I go over there. But my point is, I'm curious as to what they think about it, or are they going to side with the coach? Well, because the coach knows best. Well, last I checked, they're eliminated from the playoffs. To me, it just seems like a certain degree of favoritism, a certain degree of nonsense, a certain degree of horse manure, and everything else you could throw at it. That's going to do it for today's show. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. We'll see you in 23 hours right here on your favorite station. So until then, folks, so long, everybody.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus. Join me and Hall of Fame world champion and all-star celebrity guest for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms. Also, thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.